let me just explain the thing with the IT-1 for a start. And this is like, when Gaijin say historically accurate, they don't include the IT-1 with that, basically. Because this thing is nowhere near as good as what it performs like in the game. In real life. Let me just bring it up. The Filth Machine. Cancer 1 or whatever you want to call it. Basically, yeah. In real life, this was not adopted by the Russian army for a few reasons. First one being ammo capacity. Only carries 15 missiles. Alright? Second one, and this one is the more important one that Gaijin chose to ignore, okay, is that when this missile is launched, for the first second or so of flight, like about second and a half, the gunner has no control over it at all. The missile is launched at a slightly upward angle, not level as it's shown there, and the reason for that is to basically allow the missile to leave the vehicle and gain stability in flight. Now that basically means that you can't control it for the first 200 meters of flight. Neither can you point it downwards or do anything else with it. In fact, it may not even arm itself during the first 200 meters of flight. But Gaijin chose to ignore all of that and give it depression, which it shouldn't have, and no control defects, which it should have. The fuse of the ATGM is armed after 1.5 seconds. There you go. Which means that basically, let me just check the stats for this missile. 220 meters per second. So that missile is going to fly 330 meters before the missile is actually armed. In which case, at that point, if that, well, like for example in that last game where I got shot by one at, what, 50 meters range, 100 meters range, not even that. He's dead. But I've lost my gunner. The missile would have hit the tank and just disintegrated without doing any significant damage at all. And that's the IT-1 for you. Broken as intended, still. And it's funny because, like I say, you know, that hasn't been nerfed. But in fact, it's been has been, in theory, because at one point when this was in game, I should point out, you couldn't ammo rack it. You could turn those ammo cylinders, missiles, whatever you want to call these things, 7 shades of black and they wouldn't explode. They have kind of fixed that since, but you still need to be incredibly lucky to get one of these to detonate. Incredibly lucky. As far as like the other ATGMs go, right, well, okay. You've got one for the Americans, which is the M551 Sheridan. If you've not seen me using that, then yeah, well, what to say about that? It's still buggy as far as I can tell. The missile itself is good, but the reload rate is terrible, which is why that loses out against such things as the IT-1. And its armour is terrible, which again is why it loses out against the IT-1. The Germans have got two. They've got that one, which was up until like, when was that fixed? A few months ago now, I'm not sure exactly when. But that was broken for a long time and Gaijin didn't do anything about it. This, as far as I know, may be still broken. I'm not 100% sure on that. By broken, what I mean is basically with this one, when they broke it, they basically made it so that you couldn't elevate or depress the missiles on the launchers, which was a bit of a problem. And they did the same thing to this thing. Whether or not they've changed it on that, I have no idea. I've not used it since, or at least recently anyway, that I remember. I think I did take it out a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, I don't think I'd actually managed to do much with it at that point. Yeah, we've got the IT1 for the Filth. For the British, we've got the Swingfire, which is broken as fuck. If you've not seen me using that, well, what to say about this? Well, basically, what Gaijin have done is they've kind of gone a bit over the top on it, I suppose. Because with the Swingfire, basically the thing with the Swingfire is the missiles don't fire straight at the target. They fire upwards to begin with, and then they arc back down and go straight towards the target. Also, they should do. But what Gaijin have done is basically, if you are to, you know, say there's a target there, right? Or there even, right? And I want to shoot my missile with a Swingfire. I'll find the missile. If this building was a little bit further away, it'd make a little bit more sense. But what basically happens is Gaijin's coders, programmers, whatever you want to call them, have made it so that the missile does its, you know, little upward maneuver and then overcompensates for its downward move and goes into the ground. And unless you know this already, then all of the missiles you fire are going to be hitting the ground. Apparently the hot is fixed, okay. And as far as the Japanese go, they've got one 80 gem platform, which is probably going to be the worst 80 gem platform in game, at a guess, because the missiles on that go 85 meters per second. And that's the 80 gems at the moment. Oh, there is one more. It's the surprise, surprise, the SDRV, which is there. And the interesting thing about that is that the missiles on this thing are actually very easy to use. I was very surprised at how easy these were to use, if I'm completely honest. I was expecting them to be a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, they're actually very easy to use. And it makes this very effective at 6.7. Because it's the only 80 gem platform at that battle ring.